Good morning, everyone. Holy cow, what a morning. I thought I was all set up and I was all ready to go. And then when I went to go hit stream, it said that I had a network connection. And I could stream on YouTube to my personal channel, but I couldn't to my business channel. So I'm glad that hopefully you are finding me on YouTube. Good morning, Linda. Thanks for joining me. I don't know what's going on. I did have kind of a stalker telling me how much he loved me and how he wanted to give me kisses. And I reported him and blocked him. So I don't know if in doing that, I ended up blocking my ability to stream from my ManyCam. So I'm going to have to play with that today. But at least I'm here on YouTube, and hopefully those of you who normally watch me on Facebook will find me. Good morning, Mary. And if all else fails, I will post this YouTube video on Facebook later. So thank you so much for joining me. I am like flustered here for a second. I can't figure out what's going on. But anyway, we are going to go with it. Good morning, Debbie. I'm glad you found me on YouTube. I did post a link, so hopefully some people will be jumping on and joining us. If not, they can watch the replay. So I have we're going to be playing today with some of the retiring cardstock. So we found out this week, we knew that there was a color refresh coming. And good morning, Doris. I think that says Doris. My writing's a little bit smaller on my YouTube than it is on my Facebook. Good morning, Cheryl. I wanted to play with some of the colors that are going to be going away, as well as some of the stamp sets and dies that are going to be leaving us. And so some of the stamp sets and dies that I chose today are ones that are going to be discounted. Some of them are not, and I'll let you know along the way. So good, Sandy, you found me. Cheryl found me. Awesome. I was telling them earlier that for some reason Facebook would not allow me to stream from the software that I use onto my business page. It would only let me go to my personal page. But I had reported a little stalker who was telling me how much he loved me and wanted to give me kisses, and left about, I think, 20 messages that I ended up hiding, and then I reported him as a stalker. And so I don't know if that's the problem that I'm having or what, but I'll try to figure that out later. Let's start with some prizes. Good morning, Betty. Glad you found me on YouTube. Last week we made this fun fold. This was our stamp ink and paper. We did use a punch, and this was it could be anything for any special occasion. And then we also did this card that has a gift card holder, and we muddled our way through this one when I couldn't find the pieces that I had cut. So this was a always thinking of you card. So receiving these cards for placing a comment. So again, you can get entered into a drawing to receive the cards that I make by commenting. And I do have the YouTube, and I will have Facebook. I will upload this into Facebook once I'm finished here and YouTube finalizes this. I'll get the link and add it. But receiving these for commenting last week is Diana Sanders. So Diana, I need your address. So if you could private message me either in Facebook or it's Create with Sarah LLC at Gmail. I will get these in the mail to you. And then for sharing, so if you hit share, and I don't know if you can share on YouTube. I don't think I see if you share on YouTube. So you would have to go to Facebook and share, or you could go ahead. Good morning, Kelly. I'm glad you found me here. Or if when I post this on Facebook, if you share from there, you can also be entered into a drawing and receiving some of these champagne rhinestones, gorgeous, that are going to be on last chance. They are retiring, is Carol Thompson. And Carol, I also need your address. So you too, if you could send me a private message. Good morning, Sandy Calloway. Oh, I hope you guys survived all those storms that went through there last night. If you could send me a message, I would appreciate that. And then receiving, and I hinted to this on my, if you watched my retiring list the other night, I had just purchased this, or I had gotten it as rewards. And it wasn't discounted. It's going to be discounted starting on Tuesday. But this is the Framed Occasions. Some great, just little, we're going to be using this today for placing an order, Betty Rose Now. So Betty, I will get these to you. Good morning, Barbara. I'm glad that you found me over here on YouTube. Once again, for those of you that hopped on late because it took you a little while to find me here on YouTube because you don't normally watch me here, I was not allowed to, for some reason, post to my business page. And I didn't think people would find me at my personal page because I'm not friends with all of you. And so I decided to just go on YouTube, and I will post the YouTube link on my business Facebook page later. I don't know what's going on today. Either Facebook's being funny or something's happening. I was messing around a little bit with my audio. I don't think I did anything there, but you know, you never know when you start messing around. All right, I'm going to put that away. I am going to flip to my other camera here, and we are going to go ahead and we are going to get started. All right, like I mentioned, and I'm going to turn my overhead light off because I do see some shadows. All right, as I mentioned, this is going to, and I don't think I mentioned it this morning, but I did have it in my description on Facebook, which you didn't get a chance to see. I am going to be doing a challenge this week. I'm going to be doing a technique challenge. So all three of my cards are going to be a similar technique. And if you, after this, I'm going to post on Facebook, I think, if it will allow me to, I'm going to post the challenge. You have a week to submit a card doing that challenge. And if you do that, you will get entered into a drawing to win the bundle of your choice. And if you would like to wait until the new catalog goes live on May 1st, you are welcome to do that. If there's something that you would like to get that's going away, you could do that as well. All right, so we are going to be using this Framed Occasions, which starting on April 4th, which I believe is Tuesday, you can get this for 30% off. I'm also going to be using, because I'm using this Thankful We Are Friends, and I've got a really bad glare here. Thankful We Are Friends. I wanted to get another greeting for the inside. So this Blessings of Home, which I love this background stamp that's here too, or this big stamp that is pretty distinctive. And we're going to use this, You Are a Real Blessing to Everyone Around You, because I felt that those two things went together. We are also going to be using a die from the Butterfly, or the Brilliant Wings die. Sorry, my dies are inside my stamp case here. And these dies, not the stamp set, but the dies will be going 60% off. The stamp set is retiring as well, but I don't know, I didn't write down what percentage off that is. You could look back on my video where I did that. So these dies are going to be 60% off. All right, that's all I have. We are going to be using some colors that are also going to be retiring. So the colors that are retiring that we're going to be using are Mango Melody, Pale Papaya, and Polished Pink. Oh, we're also going to be, isn't that going to be a nice combination? We're also going to be using some of the Opal Rounds from the 21-23 in colors. And those I have in here are going to be 20% starting on Tuesday. All right, let's get our layers out here. Now that I did all of that, this is what we're using and what's retiring. We're going to be using strips of all different papers. So this technique is called Scrappy Strips. And you can do this in a lot of different ways. So I am going to be doing 3 different ways to use this, and I'm going to be using cardstock on all of mine. You can also use designer series paper. So I have my Mango Melody, and I have some Some of these are a 1/4 inch, some of them are a 1/2 inch, some of them are 5/8 of an inch, 5/8 inch, I'm sorry. And so there's all different sizes here. I have a card base that is Pale Papaya. Good morning, Karen. I'm glad you found me. Oh, thanks, Doris, for asking people to give me a thumbs up. I appreciate it, and thanks for sharing. I'm glad you found me, Kay. All right, this is 4 1/4 by 11, and I scored it at 5 1/2. Okay, so we have that as our card base, and that's, again, Pale Papaya, which is retiring. We have a piece of Polished Pink that measures 3 5/8, by 4 7/8, and a piece of Basic White that's 3 1/2 by 4 3/4, and a piece of Basic White that's 4 by 5 1/4. Okay, those are all the pieces that we need. Now for this scrappy strips technique, again, a lot of times when you cut your paper at 4 by 5 1/4, or if you cut it by 3 1/2 by 5, or whatever the case might be, whatever way you're cutting it, you end up getting a lot of strips left over. Now, I'm not going to lie, I don't keep every strip that I have, but I keep a lot of strips for, you never know when you might need them. I do end up throwing some of these away, but my mom can attest to the fact that I am a little bit of kind of a, I don't know, collector of things. I'll call it that. That's sort of a nice way to put it. I am going to use my silicone mat as I'm putting adhesive on here, because some of these are really tiny, and I am going to use my Stampin' Seal for a couple of these cards because it works just a little bit better. All right, for this first one, this first card that we're going to be making, I decided what I wanted to do is I wanted to put some strips on an angle, and I just wanted a portion of my card. I am going to cut out one of those butterflies that have the detail in white, and I'm going to put it over the top. Good morning, Mary Stamps, or Mary Stamp. Thank you for joining me. I'm glad you found me. All right, and I'm going to start about in the middle of where I want to be. And I think I'm going to start with a Mango Melody and a kind of a bigger one. And I think I'm going to start about right here. Now, when you attach these, I have these way bigger than they need to be. I'm going to trim them. But you want to make sure that the far, if I'm over here, that the far left and the far right, that I have enough cardstock that it completely covers it. If I were to go like this, I'm going to be in trouble because I don't have this part of the white down here. I don't know if you can see that. I'll bring it up a little closer. Right here, I'd have a little bit of white showing. Okay, so you want to make sure you have this all the way over. And then, like I said, I'm just going to put a little bit of the seal on here. And I can just kind of guess what angle I want it on. And that looks pretty good like that. Okay, so once I have that on, I'm just going to build the rest of my, I want to leave enough space down here because I'm going to put a greeting. Actually, you know what? Let's stamp that real quick. When I made this the other day, I ended up stamping it last, but I think I want to stamp it first just so that I don't go too far. So I'm taking that Thankful We Are Friends, and I'm just stamping it. I'm going to stand up so that I get this straight. I need to get over the top of my camera so you don't get my head. Whew, that looks pretty good. All right, so I'm going to close this until we get to the inside of our card. All right, back to our strips. I think I was taking this one, and I was going to put this over the top of that. Now, I know I don't want to go down any further than my greeting. Oh, thanks, Carrot K. Yeah, I was trying to put some colors together that were retiring, and I thought that these three looked really nice together. And I'm actually going to kind of keep this on here too because I don't want, because I'm putting adhesive a little bit further than I need it, right here. I don't want it, I want it to be able to stick on here and not stick on my table surface. All right, then I think I'm gonna do pink. And you can either decide to go in random colors, or you can be like I am with the kindergartners. What's the pattern? What color comes next? It's entirely up to you how you want to do it. I sometimes like to go random, and sometimes I like to have a pattern that I keep repeating. All right, and let's see. I think I'm going to do, that one's about the same width. I think I'm going to do, that one's about the same width. We will do something that's a little bit skinnier. So how about if we do, we'll go back to our Mango Melody. I have a little bit of adhesive here. I usually, when I'm done, take my adhesive remover and run it over the whole thing, because I do get a little bit, see how I don't know if you can see that, but I have a little bit of adhesive. And you could use glue, but I find that this Stampin' Seal, when I want to use the remover afterwards, it removes it very nicely. Okay, and then let's see, let's do another pink. And let's do one that's maybe a little bit wider. That'll put us almost up to the corner. And then I think I'm going to build it just a little bit lower on the other side. So again, I'm not really following a pattern on this one. If I were, I would be putting a Pale Papaya next. But I'm going to put this pink. Okay, and then down here, I think we'll do a skinny pink, and then we'll do another Pale Papaya. So we'll put that pink. Oh, you know what? I think I want Pale Papaya up here. Let me pull this off. I do like the seal because you can remove it unless you're using the Seal Plus. And let's do this one. Every card's going to look a little bit different, because you can mix up these colors however you want. All right, let's put this little skinny one down here. So I guess I am following a pattern pretty much here. I didn't plan to, but it looks like that's what I'm doing here. Okay, and then we'll do this Pale Papaya here yet. And I think that will be wide enough for what we need. Now, you could go completely straight across if you wanted to. You could do whatever you want. It's your card. You can make the scraps however you want them. Then I'm going to flip this over. I'm not going to take a ribbon scissors, but just one of my, and I could use these on another card. They should be long enough. Okay, I'm just going to trim there, and I'm going to trim here. And I've made myself a background without needing any designer series paper. I've just used some scraps, some little strips of designer paper, or not designer paper, just some cardstock in a color combination that I thought was nice and fun for spring. All right, I am going to add that to a layer of this polished pink, and look at how that just kind of sets that off if you do that. So good morning, Shanna. I'm glad that you found me on YouTube. For those of you that found me late, Facebook was not my friend this morning. I don't know if it was Facebook or ManyCam. I don't know if any of you saw it, but when I did my catalog, when I went through the catalog the other night, I had a friend, I don't know, it was a male friend. I'm not friends with him, but he found me on my business page, and he decided to tell me how much he liked me, and he wanted to give me kisses and all kinds of stuff like that. Because, you know, he probably doesn't have enough to do with his life that he has to go find people to do this to. So I ended up blocking him and reporting him. And I don't know if because of that I was not able to stream onto my page today from the software that I use, ManyCam. So that's why we're on YouTube, because for some reason I couldn't get to Facebook. All right, I could get to my personal one, just not to my business one. This is white. We run this through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and through the magic of TV, we have one of those white butterflies. And look how because there's all that detail in those butterflies, when I put this on here, all of those colors just come through that butterfly. It's so, so fun. All right, I am going to, this is the part that you probably won't see, but I am going to just Wink of Stella. Whoops, I don't want to bend the butterfly, but I do want to get a whole bunch of Wink of Stella on here so that it just shines. And the person who receives this is going to see this, but I know that you are probably, let's see here, let me get a piece of cardstock. You probably will not see how much that glitters, but it really does glitter. All right, and I am going to add just a little bit of liquid glue in the body part of this butterfly. And I think the rest of it I'm going to let so that it looks like a butterfly and has the ability to kind of stand up a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to also put that on a diagonal. Kind of let the butterfly fly. All right, and then I'm going to attach that to the front. And because I haven't put any dimensionals on anything so far, I am going to put that up on some dimensionals. Actually, let's finish up this one. Oops, I had one in there yet. Thought it was down to all scraps. All right, and then I was prepared, even though the computer, Facebook didn't like me this morning, was kind of prepared and got myself another pack of dimensionals, knowing I was going to need some big ones. This is the card that I made on Thursday. I was like, okay, there's one technique with this, or one card with this technique, and I'm going to show you, like I said, 3 different types of techniques using strips of paper to make sort of a background for your card. Okay, now I am seeing a little bit of adhesive right here, so if I just take my adhesive eraser like that, and there is that, the outside of that. Now it does need a little bit of bling, so I am going to bring in these opal rounds, which are retiring, and they are going to be, what did I say, 20% off? Yep, 20% off starting on Tuesday. I think I'm going to do one of the polished pink ones. It doesn't want to pick up with my take your pick tool. They're a little, oh, maybe it helps if I have putty out. That sometimes helps. Oh, Shanna, you have 15 inches of snow. It's snowing right now here, but it's just really, really light. I am so sorry you're having to deal with that. Ugh, what a pain. All right, and then I'm going to take some of the pale papaya ones, and I'm just going to stick a couple of those around here as well, just to give it a little bit of pale papaya and polished pink there. All right, now we still have to do the inside of our card. I had an inside layer here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of those strips that I have left, and I want to bring that color into the inside of my card. And since the card base is pale papaya, I thought if I brought a little Mango Melody and I brought a little bit of the polished pink, that then that would go along with the pale papaya. So I'm going to stamp this first, because if I don't stamp it well, I can always flip it and use the other side of my card. So before I add the paper, I'm actually going to add the stamp, and then that will help me. So this one says, "You are a real blessing to everyone around you." And again, I'm going to stand up and get over the top of this. And that looks pretty good. All right, well, whoops, sorry about that. Knocked my camera. I put a little different setup because it gave me a little bit more room, but I it gets in the way every once in a while. All right, let's see here. Let's add our, I suppose I can use this now that I'm going to be cutting off a little, but I'm not going to be cutting off. Go ahead and add a strip here. I'm going to leave a little bit of white on the bottom. And then this little strip. So I'm going to see about how far I have to put the glue so I don't go overboard and have glue everywhere. Okay, and you can do this so that you have, whoops, all the same size strips if you want as well. I opted in this one. I think, oh no, one of them I do all the same size. But the other ones, I have different sizes that I chose to use. So I'm going to show you a couple of different things that you can do with this technique. And if you hopped on late, this will be a challenge that you can create a card using the scrappy strips any way that you want. So this one is just taking and highlighting a portion of this layer. So we just did a portion across the side front here. You could do this whole layer, and I'll show you one of those that I made at the end. I'm going to show you a couple of other things that you can do with it because I am only making 3 cards today, but I have about 5 different samples that I can show you, or the 3 cards plus 3 other samples, I think it is. All right, so that is our card 1. As far as our envelope, I was not thinking of an envelope on this. Let's see what we can do here. Let's take one of those stamp sets that I showed you. I set it over here. Since we have a butterfly, these butterflies are all attached. And let me just get my big block here. I actually don't have my big block. Let's see. Let's see if I can do this. Haha. Let's see what we can do here. We will ink up. I'm just going to ink up a portion of this, and I'm just going to take the envelope and I'm going to set it. Let me think here. Let's just put one. Let's put one down in this lower corner right here, like that. Okay, so we're going to put that one right there. So I'm just going to ink up this big one, and I think I can do this. It's a big enough stamp set. I have a block, but it's not with all my other blocks right now, so I must have used it for something else and have it somewhere else. Oh, I know what I used it for. I used it for a watercolor thing that we were doing to put ink on a paper for watercoloring. All right, and I'm just going to press this down. This is not the recommended way to use this stamp set, but it worked. All right, so there we've got a little butterfly in the corner. I'll clean that later. Set that aside. So there is our card number 1. Look at how beautiful that stamp set is too. And that stamp set, I believe, is also going to be reduced. I did not write down what the discounted price is on that. My catalog's right here. Let's look real quick. And there goes a block. Thanks for being patient with me. I wasn't planning to use that one. Here we go. The butterfly one is retiring. It's not discounted at all though, but it is retiring. The dies are 60% off starting on Tuesday. All right, there is card number 1, or sample number 1. And I'm going to set that aside. We will come back to that at the end when I display all of them. And I'm just going to get my stuff up here for card number 2. Card number 2. Oh gosh, I thought I didn't have an envelope again, and I thought, what the heck? But I found it. All right, we're going to set these aside as well. Card number 2 features the Retiring Colors Sahara Sand. So this is 5.5 by 8.5, and I scored it at 4.25. It has Bermuda Bay. Can you tell we're doing a beachy card? I love beachy cards. Those small touches make such an impact. Oh, thank you, Linda. So these are 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and I have 2 of those. I have another layer of Sahara sand, and each of these are 3 3/4 by 5. I have a window sheet. Oh, we're going to do what's called a floating strip. Floating, I think they're called floating scrappy strips. And this is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. You can hardly see that, but you can kind of see the glare on it. All right, I have the colors that I'm using in this. I've got 5 colors. They're 3/8 of an inch wide, so they're all the same. And they're at least 3 1/4 inch long so that they can go across here. And the colors that I used were Mango Melody again, because I tried to get a bunch of the retiring colors. We're going to use some Daffodil Delight, So Saffron, which is retiring, Coastal Cabana, that's staying, along with the Daffodil Delight, and then our Bermuda Bay. So those I thought looked kind of beachy. We're going to be using those together. And then I'll show you what I did for the inside of our card. I have a little strip that I made as well. All right, stamp set that we're going to be featuring with this and the dies are the Paradise Palms. Ooh. So we're going to be using some of the greetings, and for the inside of the card, we'll use one of these palms. We are going to be using the palm dies, the palms dies, and this is going to be 60% starting on Tuesday. We are also going to be using the layering circles, which these are also retiring. They're not going to be a percentage off. What I love about sunsets is everything that you see is a silhouette. And so we are going to be using some basic black with our detailed tree and some grass, okay, to add to our card to make it look like we kind of have a sunset with this silhouette. All right, and then we're going to use this with our scrappy, our floating scrappy circle thing. I think that's what it's called. Those small touch. Okay, I'm caught up. All right, good. I'm just trying to keep up on the what you're posting. All right, so we're going to start with our scrappy strips, and we're going to add these strips to the window sheet. And what we're going to do is we're not going to butt them up right together. We are actually going to leave a little bit of space between each one. And this one with the strips, and I apologize, you're kind of getting, let me see if I move that up there, then you won't be getting that. With these strips, I found that if I put just a little bit of glue, because we're adding it to a window sheet, if I put a little bit of glue towards the center of the cardstock, it was best, because I'm going to lift this up so that I can see where the strip or the window sheet is. Look at how, if you can see from the back, that glue spreads itself out. So because it gets spread out, you can want to keep it a little bit towards the center, because when you get glue on a window sheet, it looks pretty nasty. So I'm trying to keep the glue from oozing out anywhere onto the window sheet. So I'm starting with the darkest blue on the bottom, and then I'm going to add some Coastal Cabana. And I'm going to leave just a little bit of space between the Bermuda Bay and where I start the Coastal Cabana. So there's just a little bit of space between those two. And let's see, if I put some white underneath it, you can probably see that a little better. Okay, then I'm going to take my softest yellow. I'm going to go, so I went dark to soft, and then I'm going to go back up to dark again. So this is So Saffron. This is one of the colors that is going away. And I did not check to see if anything is like unavailable. I can probably do that after I'm done this morning. I probably should have done that before I came on to be able to tell you that, but I didn't get a chance because of the issues and I didn't realize it until I went to go hit stream, like go ahead and stream this on Facebook, and then it said network connection issue, and then I could see I couldn't get my page to show up. Usually it shows up like, what page do you want to do this on? And my page would not come up, and I'm like, come on, cooperate with me this morning. So I'm just keeping a little space between each one of them, and now I'm on the last one. Probably should get a little bit, we're gonna cut out a circle out of this, so it's probably not gonna even be on that part, and we're probably gonna be going over a little bit. The one color that I wanted the least amount of was the Mango Melody, so you can kind of, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm over the edge a little bit. But see how that glue, you can kind of see how that spreads out when it gets on the window sheet. So that's why you don't really need a whole lot of it. Okay, I wanted to cut this with you so that you could see me do this and see what we do next. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And I need to get an Allen wrench because I lost the little thing that goes in the center of the handle of my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And I found it, and I have it, but I need an Allen wrench that's the right size to be able to put it back in. All right, so here's my machine, and it's taking up a lot of space here. I know, I'm sorry. And I don't know how much you're going to be able to see of this, but I wanted to at least show you what I'm doing with the dies. And I have new plates that I just got. So I've got virgin plates here. All right, I'm going to take that, and I'm going to put the circle on it. And I want to have the Mango Melody be my smallest color, so I'm kind of lining it up so that that kind of has the smallest. And then I'm going to bring in that black cardstock that I had. I'm able to cut these all at once. Now, I could have, if I had the mini machine, I could have cut each one of these separate, but I wouldn't have been able to fit all of it on at the same time. So I'm able to cut all of this with one pass through my machine. And they will no longer be virgin plates after we do this. So there we go. I'm just gonna run it through a couple times, and because I have a window sheet, I'm just going to run that part through one last time because that is a little bit thicker to cut through. Okay, I'm just going to make sure that I have, yep, it did. It cut all the way through that. Look at how cool that looks. All right, and I'll bring these down, and we'll get our machine out of the way. We'll bring that back for our next card, for what we're going to be using for that. All right, now pop this out. Doesn't this look cool, this grass? Can you see where I'm going with this, anyone? All right, and then our tree, palm tree. I miss this. Today's my mom and dad's 56th wedding anniversary, and they are stuck in a car driving from Florida. But they didn't go through any of that really, really bad weather that was in Illinois and Indiana and like Arkansas and all of that was yesterday. They had some rain, but they said, at least the times that I was talking to them, unless they were lying to me because they know I worry about them while they're driving, they said that they just had rain. So that was good. I had seen Facebook posts from other people who had taken off for spring break because their kids started spring break. They have this next week off, and they were saying how horrible the rain was, that people were just pulled over along the side of the highway. The side of the highway looked like a parking lot because people just could not drive at all because of the wind and the horrible rain and stuff. Okay, there we go. So she did say that she's going to be watching me, but she's going to be watching me later as the replay because they were going to stop for breakfast. They're allowed. It's their anniversary. Hopefully they get a good breakfast on their anniversary. All right, let's go ahead and, whoops, I'm going to get this sheet out of here, or this plate. We can go ahead and start to put this together. So on one of these is the front, and one of these is the inside. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stamp this first so that I can flip it over if I need to. On the front, let me go ahead and bring this in. Because this is such a dark black and the silhouettes like are so dark, I guess, I decided I wanted to use StazOn rather than using Memento ink. I feel like I just get a little bit crisper image with the StazOn. So if I don't have to color in blends and I want something to be really dark black, I tend to grab my StazOn. I am going to go ahead and stand up again. And I'm just going to stamp this in the lower right corner. This is going to be the inside of my card. Okay, and then I'm going to do the happy birthday. I might have to add some ink to my StazOn. Okay, that's going to go on the inside. And it's a little crooked, but that's, let me put this on here straight. Let's do that again. We're going to make it nice. So I think my sticker's on crooked, and so now I just lined it up with the bottom. Okay, that looks a little better. Oh, and now I got, wouldn't you know it, I got a little bit of a halo there. I can fix that. I can erase some of that. Let's go ahead and add our wishing you a warm and beachy kind of day. I was afraid of that. I thought I rocked it a little bit. And that I'm going to put kind of down here in the corner again, like we did with our last card. Okay, that looks good. We are finished with our stamping. And we are ready to put our card together. So this is going to go on the front of here. And I am going to raise that up. No, I'm not. I'm going to put that down flat. But when I put my glue on, I'm going to put it where... I thought I raised that up. I did raise that up. Oh, I just made this one last night. I should remember. I am going to raise it up. I'm going to put my dimensionals. I remember putting dimensionals in where the little strips were. So I'm like, gosh, I swear I raised that up. But then when I went and felt it, it looked like it was glued down. I thought maybe I was losing my mind. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and put a whole bunch of little mini dimensionals on here. There we go. That's good. Anyone have any big plans for today? Oh, thanks for sharing, Linda. I just saw your comment. All right, so that is going to go up there. All right, then what I did was this is going to go over the top of that. Kind of have this a little crooked here. I think it's the way that I'm looking at it. Let me pull this off before it gets too settled down there. Okay. Let me stand. Let me get my cardstock straight. There we go. That looks better. Okay. This is going to go down here. I'm going to raise that up on some dimensionals. And then the tree, I'm going to cut a little bit of that off. I'm going to see how long I need it to be. So I want it to be on there. I want this to go here, so I'm going to go ahead and hold on to this. This is what I did last night when I was making it. So I'm going to make it the same way. I'm going to add a little bit of glue here to glue that to the grass. Okay, and then after I've glued it to the grass, I'm going to come in and I'm going to cut off the rest of it. Okay, so that is going to go up there like that. Let me center this a little bit better. It seemed like it was so much easier last night when I was just designing it on my own. I just want the grass to be kind of centered here a little bit. There we go. Okay, now it's attached. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some dimensionals on the bottom. At least this is what I did. And I put it right over that so it helps keep that together, because I just had that little dab of glue. And then for the rest of it up here, I'm going to just add a little bit of glue, because the rest of the circle is already on dimensionals, so I don't need to put this on dimensionals on top of it. But I do have to put the grass on dimensionals because it has to get up to the same height as the circle that's on dimensionals already. At least that's what I found last night when I was making it. Makes me want to go right back to Florida. Okay. There we go. Okay, so we have our little palm tree with that fun colored in the background. Then we're going to add that to this layer of Bermuda Bay. And again, I will type up all of these directions and I will post them for you as soon as I have them all typed up. I'm going to see if I can get this off, and if I cannot, then I might just flip it over and use the other side that I did. But I think if I erase this just a little bit, I'll be able to get rid of those black marks. Just don't want to change the color of the paper. You know how it lightens the paper a little bit, but I think I can get there. For the most part, they are gone. And I'm just going to go ahead and add that to another layer of Bermuda Bay for our inside. And then we have to add it to our card base. So this time I think I'm just going to, since I put that circle up on dimensionals, I'm just going to lay this flat on here. Okay, so wishing you a warm and beachy kind of day. Isn't that cool? And then, happy birthday. And I just left this the way it was. I didn't add any gems or anything like that because I thought all of the shine that comes in, I don't know if you can see the shine that's coming in from that window sheet that's in there. I felt if I added more to it, it might take away from that little shimmer that you see coming through from there. All right, so this is the floating, because the strips are kind of floating by using that window sheet, the floating scrappy strip. Oh, you know what? We have to add this to the inside. So on the inside, what I did was I took some of my window sheet that I had left, and I just went ahead and put a whole bunch of the strips that I had left, kind of in that color combination. And then what I did was I just cut a little 1/2 inch strip, and I'm just going to add that Doesn't matter which way I do it. We'll just add it that way. Should have done that first because I probably have to trim just a little bit off of it because I think I made it just a little bit bigger than I needed to. So we'll go ahead and add that so we get a little bit of that beachy color. Oh shoot, you know what? You don't want to add it that way because your glue is going to seep through. Let me see if I can grab a wet wipe here real quick. It's not easy to get the glue off of this, but you want to just put the glue where the paper is. You don't want to put it all the way across this top or all the way across the side. So just where this little paper is. And then we'll set that down. There we go. So that just adds a little bit of the color from the front into the inside of the card. All right, so that's our card number 2. I do have an envelope here, and I think what we can do for this one is we'll just add some of those palm trees. I don't have any designer paper in any of these, so most of these are just going to have stamps on them, but we'll go ahead and get my scrap back here. And get rid of these Stampin' Dimensionals. I didn't put them in my little coffee cup when I took them off. But we'll just go ahead and put one of these down in the corner. I'll be careful not to rock it this time. There we go. So we've got a little envelope to match our beachy themed birthday card. All right, so that is our card number 2. Let me set that with our card number 1 so I can bring them all back at the end and show you. Let me get rid of the stamps here. And I'll put this die back to keep my dimensions together. All right, and we've got our palm dies. And we are ready for card number 3. Once I just get rid of some of the stuff that's sitting around here. I just have to, there we go, 5 colors. All right. This is, I think I showed you, that's what that looked like, and I just kept cutting a 1/2 inch strip off. All right, our next card, let me get rid of the dies here. Holy cow, I have stuff all over the place. Let me, get rid of these dimensional backs here quick. There we go. Love the blacks. Yeah, I love, like when you take pictures on a beach, it seems like, because especially at the sunset, you have everything turns black because it's like a silhouette because the sun is kind of behind you. And I just love how that looks. And so I thought I'm just going to do black on this. All right, this next card that we're going to be doing features some different, this is going to be more of an earthy toned card. And this is going to be our fun fold. I promised you at least one fun fold. This is a type of easel card, but it's called a tent easel card. So I haven't made one like this before. I can't remember if I saw this from Jackie Bolhuis or if I saw it from Lisa Curcio. One of them did that, and I should have looked back to give them credit, but it's one of those 2 ladies. Okay, this is 4 1/4 by 11, and I scored it at 4 1/4, and I scored it at 8 1/2. And this is Evening Evergreen, which is retiring. I have 2 layers of soft suede, which is also retiring. These are each 4 by 4. I have a layer of soft suede. That's 4 by 2 1/4, and you can kind of see I put that through the stitched greenery. Well, that'll come in a little bit. You'll be able to see that. This is some soft succulent. This is also going away. This is 3 7/8 inches by 3 7/8 inches. It's kind of a scrap. I happen to have some Very Vanilla that I could easily cut into a 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. You could do any color you wanted. This whole sheet is going to get covered up with our scrappy strips. This is a stitched rectangle that I cut out. These are also going away, and I'll bring those up here in a little bit. This is Soft Succulent. The stylish shapes are staying. This is a stitched circle, and then this is from our layering circles which I showed you. So what I'm using in this card for product is I'm using these stitched rectangles, which I showed you. Those will be 30% off starting on Tuesday. I am using the stitched greenery, and that will be 40% off. Oh, I love this thing so much. You'll see what we're going to do with this. The inspired thoughts, we're going to be making a sympathy card, and I have to, at least for one last time, use that sheltering you with love at a time when words fall short. We're going to be using the leaves from this Plantiful Plant stamp set, which is retiring, and none of these are percentage off. And then we're going to be using the With Deepest Sympathy. I just needed something a little bit bigger than the With Heartfelt Sympathy. I thought that was a little small, so I chose this With Deepest Sympathy. I use this a lot from Peaceful Moments. Great greeting stamp set. All right, I'm going to set all that aside. I'm going to bring that greenery stitch back in here in just a little bit. I have strips of Sahara Sand and of Soft Suede, Evening Evergreen, and Soft Succulent. So that is what is going to make our little background piece that we're going to make on this 3 7/8 by 3 7/8 inch piece. All right. I'm going to do this diagonally again. I just kind of like how the diagonal looks. And this time, instead of because I want to fill this whole sheet and not just a portion of it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Stampin' Seal and I'm just going to cover the whole thing. Now, you could use adhesive sheets as well, and you could cut it to be the 3 7/8, and you could fill it with the adhesive sheets as well. It's entirely up to you how you want to do it, but I just found it was easier to go ahead when I didn't want just a portion of the card covered, but I wanted the whole thing, to just go ahead and cover the whole thing with Stampin' Seal. I wouldn't do this with liquid glue. I wouldn't cover the whole thing with liquid glue. It kind of oozes out here and there, and it kind of becomes a mess. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with some Sahara Sand, and I'm just going to kind of decide what angle I want this on. All right, then I'm going to go with maybe something a little bit smaller. I made mine different sizes. I'll do some Evening Evergreen. And let's see, I think I have a tiny, there we go. We'll do some Soft Suede. Again, I'm making sure, if you missed the first card, I'm making sure I go all the way out to the edge here, because if you don't go all the way out to the edge, then you're going to have some of your white showing through, or whatever color you chose. All right, let's put some Soft Succulent in here we haven't used yet. And then maybe some Evening Evergreen again. Let's see, this one, I don't think I need a really big one of Evening Evergreen, but I might want that. Let's just do this because I have 2 of these. All right, then I'm going to build the other way as well. Let's see, I want something smaller than that. Let's do this. And let's put some Soft Succulent in there. And maybe a little Evening Evergreen, a small one. Now, if I put these all the way over to the edge, I probably would be able to, and I could use more of this when it gets cut off. And then let's stop with some, I don't want to stop with Soft Suede because that's going to be my outside color. So I think I'm going to do, I have a thicker strip of this. So let's go ahead and do that, because then it'll cover the entire corner. You want to make sure you don't see any of your base color. Right, then we're going to flip this over and we're going to trim this all off. Again, I could have gone closer to the edge so that I was just trimming on one side, basically, but just following along that layer. And then I can reuse these layers in another card. There we go. Now, one of the things that I thought to do with this is we have that, I'm going to try to get these, just get them out of the camera here, and I'll clean them up later. We have that, what is it called? The ginkgo branch, I think it is. So part of me was like, oh, I could cut that and I could put it in white and I could put it on there. But I had just done the butterfly one with the white. And so I was like, nope, we're not going to do that. I could stamp that stamp image and I could put white embossing powder on it. And I did do that as a sample for you. Okay, I'll show you that kind of at the end. But what I thought I wanted to do with this one, another thing that you can do once you have your scrappy strip background is you can run it through any type of embossing folder. And the Stitch Greenery is kind of like an embossing folder in that it puts those little stitches in there, but it doesn't cut anything out. I'm just grabbing it here real quick. So again, this is going to be 40% off starting on Tuesday while supplies last. Put my layers in here. Okay, and I'm just going to run that stitched greenery over the top of my scrappy strip layer. Can you see how many different ways you can use this? I'm just showing you a couple here today, but I'm sure you're going to, when you do this creative challenge, you're probably going to come up with even more things. Look at how cool that looks over the top of that. Oh, I just love how that ended up looking. All right, so now we are ready to put our card together. I have everything. We have to do some stamping. Let's do some stamping. Get my stamps in here. And what we're going to do is on one of these layers, whoops, here we go. This is where we're going to do our stamping. Get my act together here. So on the outside, we're going to use the little circle, and I'm using Evening Evergreen ink, and we're going to, on the circle, stamp the With Deepest Sympathy. And then for the inside part that is going to pop up this easel card, we're going to, and I know this sticker's on here crooked, so I have to line this up straight, and then I'm lining up the bottom because that is, I put it on here straight. Look at that. And it's okay that it's down a little bit because I do want it to be down a little bit because I'm going to put some leaves. This is from that, whoops, that plant stamp set that I said is retiring. And I just took some Versamark because I just wanted like a watermark of these on there. So I'm going to stamp that there, and I'm just going to show you what this looks like. It's just very, very faint rather than being really, really dark. Okay, can you see those little bit of leaves coming from there? And then I'm going to do the same thing on this. And I'll hold that up into the camera so that you can see it a little bit better. Let's see, I think I just want those three. Okay, so you can kind of see those leaves on there to kind of bring in the leaves that were stitched on the front. Okay, our stamping, let's do this. Let's take our envelope and I know I should probably clear this off before I put this in here, but I'm going to just go ahead and throw some of those leaves in the corner. I could also run that stitch thing through the back here. Maybe I'll do that. I'm not going to bring my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine back up here again, but I will do that for whoever gets this. I'll do it right after we're off camera. Okay, I'm going to bring in some of our Evening Evergreen. This is the open weave ribbon. This is going to be 30% off starting on Tuesday. Okay, let's layer this on here. Okay, so that's going to go on one of those square pieces of soft suede. Doesn't really matter what's your top and your bottom. Didn't do a very good job of trimming. I think I cut into it a little bit. I'm seeing down here, but you can't tell that much. Okay, and then I'm going to wrap this around and we're going to tie this in a bow. Get my ribbon scissors so that it cuts it pretty well. And I want my bow to be on the left side so that I can put my circle over here yet. I'm going to move this up just a little. Let's see. Oh, thank you, Linda. Yeah, I love the stitch greenery too, Kay. Yeah, it's amazing what you can do with strips, right? I think it was Linda that said you like the idea of using strips. I didn't use any designer series paper on any of these, but yet they all have something, they all have like a fun, they have different colors and something different about them. And so you really don't have to have, I mean, I love designer series paper, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't always have to be designer series paper. If you have a stamp set that you can't figure out what designer series paper to use with it, kind of look to see what colors, like with that butterfly, I think of bright colors. So I decided to do bright colors. When I think of sympathy, I think of more, I don't know, like subdued colors. So these little more earthy tone colors I feel fits really well for either a masculine birthday, or in this case, I'm doing a sympathy card. Okay, so this is going to go ahead and get layered on this Evening Evergreen. There we go. And then I'm going to pop this up on some dimensionals. And this is going to have to be popped on dimensionals. So while I have my dimensionals, I might as well go ahead. I think I might have stamped that on the wrong side. I did. That's all right. Only I will probably know that. All right. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put this fun fold together. Actually, you know what? I want to put some of those. Now that I stamped it in Evening Evergreen, I'm going to have to do this in Evening Evergreen. I wanted to do this in Soft Succulent, or in, what color did I have? Oh, Versamark. And I'm just going to add a little bit of that to there. That'll work. And there's nothing else there except for the message that you're going to write, so... Okay, let's go ahead and put this whole thing together now that our stamping is all done. So this is called a tented easel card. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I burnish this really well. And I'm going to tell you that after I add the layers, I might have to come back and do this again. Oh, thank you. Whoever just, I think, Doris, thank you for saying that you can't wait to see how it turns out. All right. So how this is going to work is it's going to be a square card, but it'll fit into our envelope because it's just not going to go all the way out to the edge. When the person opens it, this will flip down and the card will stand up this way. So it'll be an easel card and it'll be it's going to look like a tent and it'll stand up on there. So we're going to add this little greeting right here is going to hold it in place so that it stands up. All right, so I'm going to start with the inside and I'm going to take this and layer it. Onto that soft suede. And then that is going to be the inside of our card where we can write the message. Okay, we can write some sort of a message to the person. And I'm leaving it blank so that you have, you can write your little message, but then this is going to have our inside greeting. So I'm going to cover or to follow that soft suede. I'm going to put this soft suede here, but I put the stitched greenery on here as well to kind of have it carry over from what the front of the card is going to look like. Okay, so that is going to go there. And then we have the front of our card. We have our stitched scrappy strip layer. You could use any sort of embossing folder if you wanted to as well, instead of using, like this actually stitches it, but you could use an embossing folder and just have like an embossed. The quatrefoil is good for this. That one of the newer ones that has kind of like the little etching on it would look really nice with that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take off my dimensionals and put my greeting with deepest sympathy. Okay, and then just gonna slide that a little bit. Then this is going to be up on dimensionals, like I said, and it's going to be down a little bit like that. That's why I said it would be okay to have those leaves up there. Okay, this will now, I just did this wrong. No, I did do it wrong. I put it on the wrong layer. Don't follow me. Was anyone else yelling at me that I was putting it on the wrong layer? Oh, goodness gracious. Let me see if I can get it off. I should be able to. Hasn't been on there too long. I'm just taking my bone folder and kind of picking up the paper. Do a fun fold and I show you how to do it wrong. I'm going to use my, once that's dried, I will go ahead. Nobody was telling me I was doing it wrong. All right, so see, my mistake will be your good fortune because you're going to be like, okay, I want to make sure that I put this on the right side. I don't want to do it wrong like Sarah did it wrong. Okay, this is going to go here so that you can stand this up like that. Okay, and if it doesn't stand up, mine does stand up, but if yours doesn't stand up, I had some people when we were making this in my card club, they said mine isn't standing up. Go back and reinforce that with your bone folder and just come back here and also do the bottom part. I'm going to see if I think I can get, whoops, I just knocked my camera again. I should be able to get all of this up with my glue eraser. If you ever do that too and it's pressed down a little bit, that's why I don't put a whole lot of glue on mine. You can see that I put very little glue on my layers because if I do make a mistake and I have to pull them up, if I don't have as much glue on it, it comes up a little bit easier while it's still drying. You can also take a heat tool and you can like heat the back of it and it will like kind of loosen up the tape or the glue as well. All right, I have a little bit of work. I might just put another little strip on there just to cover it up. You know what I mean? I'll just cover that up a little bit, but that's how it ends up. That's how it ends up standing up when you're all done. All right, I promised you, so we have our sympathy card that uses the scrappy strips, makes a panel, and we did something like embossing over the top of it. We had our floating scrappy strip where we ended up using window sheets to create an image, and then we cut that out in a circle and made like a silhouette over the top of it. We had where we took a layer and we just took a portion of it and put some strips along the portion of it and die cut something and put it over the top of it. In this case, we did that in white. I have this card that I made with the Holy Guacamole, where I made a layer. I didn't emboss or anything. I just put something right over the top. It just became my designer series paper. And then my mom had a special order that she wanted me to make. And this I made for her for a special card that she needed. And it's more of a patriotic type thank you, because I didn't have any paper that was patriotic. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of bling to this. I forgot my bling. I'm using these opal rounds again because there's soft succulent in there and there's evening evergreen. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the evening evergreen and we'll just put a couple of these on around here. There we go. Just adds a little bit of bling as well to that. Now if it is a sympathy card, maybe you feel like you shouldn't add bling to a sympathy card. It's entirely up to you. I had one of my customers once said, and she's actually on my team now, she said, I know that sometimes we think we should do sympathy cards like simple and stuff like that because of the occasion. But she's like, sympathy cards, like think of what the person's going to. They probably want to look at something that's breathtaking or something that they might want to put out and be like reminded of the care of people and stuff like that. And I never thought of it that way. Like, yeah, that's true. Like they probably have, the time or they have the desire to look at something and maybe even keep something that if it's just a birthday card, somebody wouldn't keep. I've got a little bit of glue here. Got a mess. There we go. And I think I showed you this one that I had heat embossed. That's another idea that you can do. And when that one came down, I just ended up putting a flower in the corner to stand that one up with. And that one I did as a sympathy as well with that ginkgo branch. All right. So our cards again, I'll put them all out here. We've got sympathy. This is a sympathy with a heat emboss. We have our scrappy layers that make a background. We have just portion of it. We have our floating. And then we have our little fun fold that has something embossed. Well, that's that one. So, all right. Let me come back to you. Let's see here. There we are. Here I am. All right. Thank you so much, Mary. And thank you, Sandy. Cool tip on removing with bone folder tool. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I do that all the time. You had to come up with something because I make mistakes all the time and I don't want to have to scrap an entire card. But I will probably go back, even though I erased this ink or the paste that was on here, you can still tell. So I'll probably just add like a little layer there as just a little added something. I mean, I can even put that greenery on it just to stay with the theme. So thank you so much, Linda. Yeah, I was hoping to give you some, even though it's a technique, give you some different ways to do the technique. Now, the challenge will start anytime today. If you make a card that uses this scrappy technique, doesn't have to be Stampin' Up! Products. It can be anything. If I can post something on my business page, I will post it, and you will be able to add I think somebody just tried to call me because my do not disturb just came up and my phone just got disconnected. I think that's the thing. I think it's when calls come in that because my iPad just came up that said do not disturb, but it must kick my phone out even though the do not disturb came up. Okay, sorry, that was a little bit of a squirrel thing. But the winner of, so I will put all the names in a drawing of people who participate in my creative challenge. I will draw a name next week, and then the winner will be able to pick a bundle. And if you want to wait until May and pick something from the new catalog, I'm okay with that. If you want something that's in the current catalog and it's going to be going away, I'm okay with that too. So we will do that next week. So I'm going to just check. All right, I think that is it for today. I'm going to let you go. And I did actually, it's only 10:03, so not too bad considering I started late. And I'm going to try to spend my day figuring out my Facebook problem. All right, thanks so much. I hope